What's going on, everybody? Today, I've brought our resident expert on Diablo 3. You guys might have seen him out there in the field. Chosen here is on the channel. We're going to talk about our duo strategy for leveling in Season 28. But first, I want to talk a little bit about the experience in this season, because I think the big difference with this season is the leveling process. Would you say that's true?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them. I'd say like some of those powers, like with the potions, giving you a conduit and stuff. But yes, being able to use an item at level 1 as a level 70, you used to always have to get like your gem of ease up to level 25 and stuff like that. But yeah, it's going to be amazing for the casual player just to be able to dive in there and go really fast.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Especially now, builds can rely on that potion effect. But we were coming up with a couple of strategies here. We did a couple solo things and a couple of group things. But in the background here, you'll see I'm kind of joining some groups with Chosen. He's at a level 1 character. We actually found that one of the best strategies to do, because I mean, come on, Necro is like the most broken class right now. I mean, you experience yourself on Demon Hunter, right? Like Necro is just worlds better.
Oh yeah, I mean there is no comparison for the early part of the game, like leveling and stuff. Yeah, with the generator that can basically be an AOE, drop it on the ground, and then corpse explosion at level 4. There's no other class that even come close.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we've experienced. So we found that one of the best strategies was just to rely on, let's say someone didn't want to play a Necro, well, they could play their class, but just have the Necro carry you throughout the whole thing. So what we ended up doing was I would go ahead and jump into Temple. Normally, if you're playing solo, you kind of immediately want to jump into the ruins, but that could be actually kind of tough for some newer players. You might have to drop the difficulty to rush cube. So in this case, we had Chosen over here. You ran for the cube while I was running Temple. Is that right?
Yeah, we were, because I'm not going to do anything anyway if I'm a demon hunter, so I'm just going to be running behind you, so I might as well go find the cube, let you be responsible for getting to level 18 as fast as possible, and just focus on that without me in the game making the enemies more difficult. Then I make myself useful, find the cube, boom, you get to level 18, you teleport on me, we both get the cube, and then we're off and running.
Yeah, so that's basically the premise of the strategy. And this works with or without the Challenger of Cash, because I know that's a hotly debated thing. And definitely check out Chosen's video after this, because we're going to be doing a collab just about that. But if you're using the cash, it's great because you hit level 18, you can run for those diamonds, start crafting items, craft up some items, and then immediately hop into that party instance, grab the cube as you're saying, and then I can actually craft for you. If you're not running the cash, I don't have to craft for you. I can craft, maybe some lower tier items, maybe for you, maybe not. Depends on the situation. We can both craft our own. But the important thing to note is I've actually run the cube run solo, and I've run this strategy with you. After running this strategy, it took about 3 minutes for me to run through the temple to hit level 18. And in an ideal scenario, that's about enough time, 3, 4, 5 minutes for you to get the cube. Of course, as you saw in your previous video, I know I checked it out, there's a lot of different layouts for the ruins, so you can get a little unlucky with that, right?
Yeah, you can find it in 45 seconds or 4 minutes. And that's just to find the Elder Sanctum. You gotta find the Elder Sanctum. Then you gotta head to the northeast. So yeah, anywhere between like 3 and 6 minutes maybe, depending on your RNG. And then some people actually like it to take a long time to get to the cube because they want to get a massive kill streak. They want to level up as much as possible. But the way that we're doing it, I'm just kind of trying to find the perfect game. I'm trying to find a game with Zoltan Cool as part of a bounty, and try to find the cube. So it takes me a little bit of time to search for that perfect game. During that time, you're leveling up 1 to 18. And, we're not saying like this is the most down to the second world record way to do it. This is just a fun way that we're kind of theory crafting where both of us can be useful and make time of that early game.
And I will say, based on my testing, it is faster than solo, because as you're saying, there are some strategies where you want to run through the ruins and get a high kill streak. I was actually running that, and I'll say, one, it's way tougher. Like, if you're not experienced, for example, I was not necessarily experienced with the route and the class itself. I was still getting my handle on it. And I actually died quite a few times. And if that, if you're hardcore, that matters, right? That's immediately a 10-minute loss, etc. But it took me about 6 to 7 minutes to run to the cube. And if I was pretty quick about it, I could get the cube myself. In this situation, you're running straight to the cube. It's a lot easier than following these strategies where you're running through and you're trying to go ahead and get to the cube immediately. that might be a little tough for you. And it was tough for myself. But in this situation, you can pick up the cube and then kind of go about your daily life with the Challenger of Cash, hopefully, if you're a casual player. Pick up your upgrades and things like that in the cube, because if you're running the Challenger of Cash, it's a massive deal to get that cube early on.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And we were also trying to think of a way where both of us wouldn't have to take it. Like, we were trying to think of a way where, you know, we could get the best of both worlds. Like, you could take the cash, carry us 1 to 70, and then I could save my cash and be able to carry us to higher, like, GR speed farming with my crazy full blown out powers. And we could, obviously, it's not really that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. You know, we're min-maxing like the first 48 hours, you know, it's going to be okay. You know, no matter what you do, we're just kind of for fun trying to think of like our own way to do it.
Yeah, and I like your take there. Honestly, there's a lot of strategies out there. There's definitely a very big focus on a lot of, you know, strategies that are, okay, do this, do that. If you mess up, you know, that's kind of perceived as, oh, that's too slow, that's bad. But I think a lot of the times in Diablo 3, most of the players are just interested for a fun strategy. And oftentimes you're playing with a group. And honestly, there's not really that many, you know, I guess you could say group strategies out there. So I thought this was a pretty fun one. And this doesn't have to be with 2 players, right? You could do this with multiple players.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Well, and you know, the reason that some of this stuff tends to lean towards being solo is because the kill streaks can be kind of rough if you're in a group, and the kill streaks are just such a big deal. You know, so we were trying to think of a way, you know, instead of me just ruining your kill streaks, why don't I just save my cash? You're the Necro, I'm the Demon Hunter. I'm not going to be strong until I'm level 70 with a set. You're the strongest class from 1 to 70. Why not let you just go ahead and do it, and we can save time that way on both sides?
Yeah, and that's a super, super nice thing for us to do here, especially when, of course, we like to try hard as much as we possibly can. And it's kind of hard, as you're saying, especially in this season. You brought up a good point about kill streaks. Kill streaks got doubled, essentially, in how strong they are. And that could even not necessarily just be doubled, because if you're dropping a kill streak beforehand, this double length and double viability of the kill streak can be more than double how strong it is in effectiveness, which is massive, especially when you're trying to play with a group. It's kind of unfun when you're leaving people out because you're all running a solo, but you want to join. So there's different strategies that you could take advantage of all your different players while everyone's providing some sort of value. I think that's a really, really fun option. I think this turned out to be, honestly, the most fun strategy that we came up with during our time in the PTR.
Yeah, because, you know, it might technically be like best if we both just play Necro and we both do it solo and we both just go for like the 42 minutes 1 to 70. But it's a lot more fun to actually theorycraft something with your friends. And I've seen a lot of people talking in the community. They're like, you know what? I want to play Witch Doctor. I don't want to play Necro 1 to 70. I understand it. I might be 35 minutes faster or whatever, but I want to play the Witch Doctor. You know, because a lot of people are going to be playing Necro like 1 to 18 and then getting their 2 diamonds and then switching to like a monk or something. And so there's 150 different ways to do this. And this is going to be the kind of the way that we're going about it on opening night.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I've seen the advice for a lot of people is just run Necro, right? And I feel like that's a little bit of an unfun piece of advice, although it's correct, right? I just think it is a little unfun, especially for, you know, the 4% of you that are playing Crusader or whatever it is, that want to run in with your sweep attack and just like beat up some monsters. So, you know, this is one way where if you both want to run some crazy random build, at least you get some more value out of it while playing the class you want, because at the end of the day, all you're supposed to do is have fun. And that's one of the biggest, I guess, bonuses of the season is that they're really amping up all builds later on in the game. So you could really try out whatever you want. And so having a thing where it's like, okay, you only get to play Necro is I guess, takes a little bit of the fun away, certainly for this season.
Yeah, and it's been a couple months since I played Immortal. In Immortal, did kill streaks stack party-wide, or was it the same thing? You have to get your own.
It's party-wide in Immortal. So this is, yeah, definitely something that isn't really a consideration when you're group farming, right? You just be in the same area, where it's completely different here.
Yeah, that is nice how they did that in Immortal, how they made it a group thing, because it would be a lot more fun 1 to 70 with your friends if you could all like help each other, like spread out, hit mobs, and like you know, that's why it ends up being such a solo strat. But we're gonna kind of try it this way, and it'll be fun to see, you know, are we 7 minutes behind? Are we 12 minutes behind? You know, it's all going to be within like 30 minutes to an hour of each other, and that's why I always kind of tell people, you know, play with your friends, do what's fun, and that's what the game is here for, to enjoy the season.
Well, that's I'm pretty much done with the whole strategy, guys. I mean, it's pretty simple. Just try to get into different groups, try to get into you know, maybe a different game where you're running the cube and you're getting some XP, or maybe you're running it yourself together in the ruins. Maybe you're all running for the cube immediately. You know, you could do some fun stuff with that. But if you're curious about one of the biggest discussions here for season 28, challenge Rift Cache, no challenge Rift Cache, you better head over to Chosen's video over here, because we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of each of the versions. Thanks for having me on.
Yep. Thanks. Thanks, Failed.